One moment, people. Let me get situated. Hold on. All right, now we're ready to get started. Welcome to a very special edition of the Master of the Mat. Give me 1 second while I send this link out. Special edition of the Master of the Mat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very special edition of the Master of the Mat. I normally do my shows on Saturday, but I'm doing it right now because I have a lot to talk about. It's been a very eventful week in WWE. It was brought to my attention earlier today that Fightful Select has announced that Big E is now reunited with the New Day and is now a full-time member of the SmackDown roster, which means his run as a singles champion is completely over. WWE has decided to pull the rug from underneath Big E. Now, what I don't like about that is simply this. This is BS by WWE, and it's another attempt for WWE to let that pencil neck moron geek jacked up Nimrod Brock Lesnar get his way and do what he want to do. Now, I have a huge issue with Brock Lesnar. For one, I don't like the rat. I don't like the rat bastard because he is what is deemed in the wrestling world as a Vince McMahon boy. A Vince McMahon boy is somebody that can walk in, demand something, and get what they want. Brock Lesnar is titled a Vince McMahon boy. Why is he titled a Vince McMahon boy? Think about it. How many times can Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? How many times are we going to see Roman and Brock at WrestleMania? How many times we're going to see Roman and Brock, period? How many times we're going to see Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in this century? I don't know about nobody else, but I am sick and tired of seeing Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. I am sick and tired of seeing Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. I'm sick and tired of seeing Paul Heyman come out there jabber on about how he did this and he did that. Now, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. Hands down. I'm a Paul Heyman guy. But there's two things, it's one rule in professional wrestling that you always got to account for. You do not trust Paul Heyman. I don't care who you are. Your name can be Brock Lesnar. Your name can be I don't know, Stupid McGee. But you don't trust Brock Lesnar. You don't trust Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is a rat. He's a rat. He's an underhanded individual, and he knows he is. Paul Heyman is what you would call a low-down, dirty scum. He ran his own business, ECW, into the ground. Then he gets the job with WWE, and he does a great job. Now, I'm not buying it. Paul Heyman is also the reason why Goldberg's promos have been better than what they are, because Paul Heyman is writing Goldberg's promo. All right, it's a lot going on, and I am sick and tired of this. Now, the WWE this past Saturday was the Royal Rumble. We saw Ronda Rousey, we saw Mickie James, we saw Michelle McCool, aka Mrs. Taker. We saw them all in the Royal Rumble. We saw Ronda Rousey win the Royal Rumble. I have no problem with that. Then we get to the men's Royal Rumble, and the hype they built up Bad Bunny was stupid. You built up a non-WWE superstar over your own WWE superstars. We saw Drew McIntyre return. Yeah, okay, I'm sick of seeing him too. But yet, we saw that jacked up P-Brain Nimrod, steroid-taking, idiotic freak of nature Brock Lesnar win the Royal Rumble. Why did he win the Royal Rumble? Because he's Vince McMahon's boy. So is Roman Reigns. So is Bill Goldberg. So is Roman cousin The Rock. They're all titled Vince's boy. And it's starting to irritate me because the WWE is you got main event caliber stars on your roster. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. You got those guys on your roster and you're doing nothing with them because you want to promote Brock Lesnar, idiot. Well, this is my thoughts on the whole thing, and I'm going to speak how I feel. I'm going to say how I feel. I do not like Brock Lesnar. Give me one moment. I'm trying to set something up here. I do not like Brock Lesnar. Never have, never will. Brock is a jacked up P-Brain Nimrod. A steroid taking guy you can't trust. And that's just the way it is. Brock Lesnar is an underhanded farmer who lives in Saskatchewan, Canada now. He's married to a former WWE diva, Reina Mara, a.k.a. Sable, the ex-wife of Johnny B. Bad, a.k.a. Mark Merrow. Brock Lesnar has stepped over a lot of people to get what he wants. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Roman Reigns is finally the beast he was supposed to be a couple years ago. You know why Roman's wasn't the beast and it took him this long to become the beast? First of all, they paired him with Paul Heyman. Second of all, at WrestleMania, the first time Brock and Roman fought for the WWE Championship, Brock Lesnar did not put Roman Reigns over at all. Brock made that boy look like a straight up punk. That's what Brock did. Brock didn't put him over. Brock didn't make him look good. Brock didn't sell any of his moves. Brock didn't take any of his moves. The only reason Roman Reigns got over because Big Show did a hell of a job in putting Roman Reigns over at Extreme Rules. Now, question for you all. If Roman Reigns or anybody else wouldn't have put over Vince McMahon's boy, how do you think Vince would react? Vince probably would have fired him at WrestleMania. But because it was Brock Lesnar, Vince McMahon didn't touch him. The WWE, AEW, Monday Night Raw, NXT 2.0, Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage. Let me start with AEW. And here's my problem with AEW. These jerk-offs go out and sign a bunch of former ex-WWE superstars, and the only one you're showing off is CM Punk. Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. John Moxley. Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson. Where the hell is Rusev? I mean, Adam Cole's undefeated. You signed Kyle O'Reilly. You signed Bobby Fish. I haven't seen him wrestle but one time. You signed Tony Nese. Haven't seen him wrestle but one time. But you're giving CM Punk more airtime than you giving Rusev, Fish and O'Reilly. You're giving Adam Cole more airtime than you giving anybody else. Now, don't get me wrong. Adam Cole, perhaps one of the best in-ring performers of all time, but he's not that good without Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish and Roger Strong. Let's add Strong to the mix. He's not that good. If you go back and look at Adam Cole's history in Ring of Honor, the only reason he was good because of Matt Taven. Because of Matt Bennett when he was in the Kingdom. Other than that, he wasn't that good. And when he joined the Bullet Club, the Young Bucks saved his butt. So you think about it, Adam Cole has aligned himself with a bunch of guys that's going to watch his back and make him look good. But yet AEW has got him undefeated. Then your world champion, Hangman Adam Page, this guy barely gets airtime, and he's your world champion. Makes a lot of sense to me. The world title in AEW don't mean much, because if that's my world champion, I'm going to showcase him every week. Not Tony Khan. Nah, Tony Khan don't know what he's doing. Tony Khan's a jerk. Tony Khan is a racist jerk, because after he released Big Swole, who is the wife of current WWE superstar Cedric Alexandra, he tweeted out, AEW only signs top-notch female superstars, not washed-up black female superstars. Yes, he said black washed-up female superstars. Tony Khan is a racist, prejudiced jerk. Now, with that being said, I'll do that later. With that being said, Tony Khan is what you would call a racist prick who don't know how to run a business. Hell, let's just tell like it is. Eric Bischoff did a better job running WCW than Tony Khan is doing running AEW. You got all this talent. You got Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, who is a 3-time world champion. He's a former ECW world champion, and he's a 2-time TNA world champion. Winning that belt meant something. Then you got guys on your roster. You got the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Santana and Ortiz, Sammy Guevara. Those guys are on your roster. You signed Jay Lethal to a multi-year contract and only seen him wrestle once. This is the problem with signing guys and don't know what to do with them. Because you want to get the heads up over WWE. Well, moron, it ain't working out 4 years of Tony. So your problem is you want to keep up with Vince McMahon. Hey, jerk off. Vinnie Mac is a billionaire. And he can buy your little candy-ass company and sell it to a poor man for $1. Remember this. You will never keep up with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who, by the way, shares a birthday with my little brother, and a couple other people. Okay? You will never keep up with that. Also, I'm going to stay on AEW for a minute, and I'll get off in a minute. Your tag team champions, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy, who is the son of one of the late movie stars. I forget that man's name, but they come to me in a minute. His father was a movie star. I don't know who Luchasaurus is related to, and honestly don't really care either. But the only reason they're getting over is because of Christian. Because of Christian. You sign Christian, you give him an opportunity at Kenny Omega, who he's beaten in a non-title match, but you give him the Impact World Championship. Why? Because you don't feel Christian is world champion material this stage at his career. You don't feel Daniel Bryan is world champion at this stage of his career. You don't feel Rusev is world champion material, according to Dave Myers. But let me explain something to you, jerk. Daniel Bryan, after coming back, after retiring, on Friday Night SmackDown in a turning heel effort, went out there on a live edition of Friday Night SmackDown and beat the phenomenal AJ Styles and ended AJ Styles' longest reign as WWE Champion. He will go on to hold that title until WrestleMania, where he lost to Kofi Kingston. You got Rusev, who's a 4-time United States champion. His first reign as U.S. champion, Rusev was undefeated. John Cena ended that. You got Christian, 2-time ECW champion, 2-time Impact World champion, 2-time World Heavyweight champion. He's a 6-time world champ overall. Not to mention, he's a 4-time Intercontinental champion, a multiple-time tag team champion. He's Hall of Fame bound. But he's not world championship caliber at this able. But you let Kenny Omega, who I must admit I was a real big fan of when he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now he comes to AEW because of his uncle, Don Callis. Don't tell nobody, it's a secret. He holds the AEW World Championship longer than anybody else because of his uncle. Not because of his wrestling skills. Not because he can get in the ring and go. Yes, Kenny Omega can get in the ring and go. At Wrestle Kingdom, Kenny Omega and O'Connor stole the show. But the only reason Kenny Omega held the AEW title for so long, and the only reason he won it, because of Don Callis. And Don Callis, when he was in WWE, he was a genius that put together Ron Simmons and Bradshaw, made them the APA. Well, they weren't the APA right away. They was the Acolytes. That was the smartest thing he ever do, put Farouk and Bradshaw together. I get back there and later show, maybe tomorrow's show. Kenny Omega is not that good. He's overrated. He's overhyped. He's a jerk. Just like Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is only living off his brother and his daddy's success, because this is the way I see it. You're the vice president of executive talent and relations in AEW. In WWE, you had, 2 Intercontinental title reigns, 4 tag team title reigns, 3 with your brother, 1 with Drew McIntyre. Your brother, who's had a phenomenal career, nonetheless, he's a 2-time NWA Tag Team Champion with Barry Windham and Ricky Steamboat. He's a 2-time WCW Tag Team Champion with Barry Windham and Ricky Steamboat. He's a 2-time United States Champion. He's also a 2-time 6-man Tag Team Champion in WCW. In WWE, he's a 9-time Hardcore Champion. He is a 5-time tag team champion. 3 with his brother, 1 with Booker, and I think it was with somebody else. I can't remember who, but I know it was somebody else. 3-time Intercontinental Champion. You know why? Because when Vince McMahon made Goldust, when Vince McMahon had the genius to make this androgynous character Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, the natural Dustin Rhodes, took it and ran with it and made himself a superstar. See, this is the problem with professional wrestling nowadays. WWE don't know how to create characters. Okay? Now, AEW, run down WCW. As you can see right now, I'm actually watching Rampage and not even paying no mind. That's how impressed I am with AEW. Now, WWE. Let's talk about WWE for a minute. Let's talk about Nick Khan and WWE. Let's talk about what Nick Khan said about perhaps the greatest world champion of any generation. I'm talking about Nature Boy Ric Flair. Let's talk about what Nick Khan said about WWE's Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan. Let's talk about what Nick Khan had the audacity to say about the late, great Randy Savage. Let's talk about what Nick Khan had the audacity to say about the late, great Eddie Guerrero. Nick Khan, who in an interview with Dave Myers came out the mouth and he said, in his opinion, Eddie Guerrero's world title reign was all hype and no flash. Nick Khan said Randy Savage was more pompous than circumstances. And you know what? That pissed me off because I'm going to tell you why. Pontiac Silverdome, WrestleMania 3, Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, the best damn Intercontinental title match I've ever seen in my damn life. That match overshadowed Hogan and Andre. They went out there and they bust their ass. Steamboat and Savage, and people still talk about that match to this day. But Randy Savage was more pompous than circumstance. Nick Khan, you self-service son of a bitch. Let me explain something to you. Khan, Nick, whatever you go as by. Randy Savage helped build the WWF/WWE. His year run as Intercontinental Champion. Then his year run as WWE Champion. Then his rivalries with Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Ultimate Warrior. His rivalry put the WWE on the map when Ric Flair and Randy Savage did it. WWE made that rivalry happen, but WWE didn't make it happen to the heights of WCW. Then he goes on and says in an interview with Dave Meyer, I quote, the Nature Boy Ric Flair was only hyped up when he stepped in the ring with guys like Sting, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. Let me explain something to you about that, you pompous bitch. Let me explain something to you. Ric Flair made his name in the NWA. Ric Flair made guys like Kerry Von Erich. Ric Flair made guys like Harley Race, who's already made, but Flair made a mater. Ric Flair made guys like the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, another guy already made. Ric Flair took a no talent, no potential, muscle-bound freak by the name of the Total Package, Lex Luger, and made the guy a household name. Flair made Sting a household name against WrestleMania 2 at the very first class. So for you to come out your damn mouth and say Ric Flair was all hype, you self-service son of a bitch. Who the hell do you think you are? This is why WWE is going to the shitter. Not because of Vince McMahon, because of Nick goddamn Khan. Badmouth, the Nature Boy, the man who bust his ass and made this business what it is today. Ric Flair has had some hell of a matches. Dusty Rhodes, Kerry Von Erich, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Sting. He went out there And in a time limit draw, the very first Clash of the Champions. And he made Sting a household name. He went out there with Hulk Hogan in Hogan's debut match at Bash at the Beach. And Hogan, to tell you this, and it's in his book, Hogan was not 100%. Hogan went out there, got in the ring, wasn't 100%. Hogan had a bad knee at the time. Went out there at 60% and gave it his all. But Ric Flair put Hulk Hogan over perfectly. I encourage you, if you have Peacock, go and watch that match because it's a work of genius. Then when you finish watching that, go watch the very first Clash of Champions. Watch Ric Flair and Sting. Hell, watch Ric Flair and Sting anytime. There's always a good match with them two. So for Nick Khan to say Ric Flair's is all hype, Nick Khan need to know what he's talking about. You got NXT 2.0. And what you're doing to Carmelo Hayes, what you're doing to guys like Braun Breaker, the son of Rick Steiner, I respect what you're doing. But you know what? When you leave a superstar in one territory for too long, they get washed up. So it's time to call up Tommaso Ciampa. It's time to call up Pete Dunne and let the Young Bucks grow up in NXT. But Tony Khan don't think Tommaso Ciampa is a main roster player. His words, not mine. This is why WWE sucks. Not because of Vince McMahon, it's because of Nick Khan. You get rid of Nick Khan, WWE goes back to being great. You talk about Friday Night SmackDown. You talk about Monday Night Raw, which I've actually been decent to watch for the last 2 weeks. It's been worth watching for the last 2 weeks. It really has. But you talk about Monday Night. You talk about guys like. You talk about guys on Monday Night Raw like AJ Styles, who's being mistreated over on Raw. You talk about guys like Randy Orton and Riddle, who's being mistreated on Monday Night Raw. You talk about guys like the Street Profits, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, the Mysterios, who were flourishing over on SmackDown, but they get to Raw, nothing's going their way. Somebody explain to me why Otis and Chad Gable are the Raw Tag Team Champions. Somebody explain that to me. Somebody explain to me why Damian Priest hasn't been pushed to his limit just yet. And somebody explain to me why they're not using Shelton Benjamin, or they're not using Sean O'Hara. Not Sean O'Hara, I'm sorry. Sean O'Hara's dead and gone. Why they're not using Cedric Alexander, or why they're not using other top guys in this business over on Raw. You got guys on Monday Night Raw that are sitting in the cut and not doing one thing. Collecting paycheck. And for the love of Pete, why does 205 Live still exist and there's no Cruiserweight Championship? Somebody answer that for me. You got a guy who in New Japan won the New Japan Junior Cup 3 times. Put Kushida on the main roster. Put Kushida on SmackDown. I want to see Kushida go one-on-one with Nakamura. That's the dream match for me. That's what I want to see. I want to see Kushida, Nakamura one-on-one. That's what I want to see. You know why I want to see that? Because we never got a New Japan. Now that he's in WWE, now that Nakamura's in WWE, it's time for Kushida to leave NXT and go to the main roster. It's time for Tommaso Ciampa to graduate to the main roster. It's time for the Bruiserweight to come to the main roster and shine like they never shined before. Put Tommaso Ciampa on SmackDown. Put Pete Dunne on SmackDown. Put Kushida on SmackDown and let them boys do what they did in NXT, and let's go out there, steal the show night in, night out, night in, night out, because the bloodline is completely dominating Friday Night SmackDown. And they should be. They really should be. And I say that because it is. The Samoan heritage that's in that ring. Jimmy and Jay's little brother is on NXT, and that boy is completely dominating. Jimmy and Jay are the longest reigning SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Why? Because they have it in their blood. It's something about being a Samoan that makes your wrestling career go from mid-roster to main event level. You got main event Jey Uso, who last year won the Andre the Giant Memorial Cup. This year, spoiler alert, Jimmy is going to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Cup on SmackDown. You know why? Because since coming back, Jimmy Uso has been putting in the work. When he came back, he had a shirt made and it literally said, "Nobody's bitch." He was talking to Roman, but I never understood that, but I never did. Friday Night SmackDown has been a better show for the better part of almost 2 years. To be honest with you, Friday Night SmackDown was a better show when they was in the pandemic. Raw was just watchable because we're back in the almighty era. We're back in Bobby Lashley's era, but MVP, Montel Vontavious Porter, is holding back Bobby Lashley for being the beast that he is. And I'm just being real with you. So, I got 2 people watching. I got a wrestling trivia, and I got a couple more things to say that I'm shutting it down, but I will be back tomorrow. Here's the first wrestling trivia. Lex Luger is a former member of the Horsemen. Lex Luger's very first title in professional wrestling was the NWA United States Championship. Who did Lex Luger beat for this championship? Was it A, Nikita Koloff, B, Magnum TA, or was it C, Tully Blanchard? I'm going to see who know the answer. And if you Google it, I'll know. So I'm going to give you a minute. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to figure it out. The joys of working for PG County. I'm not doing that Monday morning. I might do that. I might do that. What the hell? Well, my own fault. Shouldn't have got with the union. All right, nobody knows the answer? I got 2 people watching. I should have seen 2 comments up there. Who did Luger beat? All right, I gave you enough time to figure it out. Lex Luger beat Nikita Koloff for his very first United States Championship. It was an NWA live show. Luger hit him. This before he messed up his shoulder in that boat crash. He had what was called a rubber rack. Then it was changed to the torture rack. I don't know why they called that in the first place. It's just stupid. All right. Now, I'm going to give you an easy one. This man's a former hardcore champion. He's a former Intercontinental champion. He's a former WCW Tag Team champion. He's also a former WWE Tag Team champion. He's a two-time, and he's also a former European champion. Who is he? During the age of the Alliance, he betrayed the WWE and joined the Alliance. Who is he? European champ, two-time hardcore champ, Intercontinental champ, WCW Tag Champ, and WWE Tag Team Champion. Who is he? He turned in the WWE when it was WWF versus the Alliance. He cost, I'm not going to tell you who he cost, but he cost two guys you don't mess with a title. Who is he? Once that hit 37, I'll tell you who it is. Really? Nobody know who it is? I get you an easy one. The answer is Andrew Tess Martin. At the time, he was called Tess. Tess is a former European champion. He defeated William Regal in record time for the European Championship. He defeated Edge for the Intercontinental Championship. He defeated Big Boss Man for his first reign as Hardcore Champion. And he defeated Rhino for his second reign as Hardcore Champion. Tess and Booker T defeated The Undertaker and Kane to win the WCW Tag Team Championships. And ironically enough, they defeated Undertaker and Kane to win the World Tag Team Championships. Yeah, they actually only in that time. So, R.I.P. Tess. All right, I'm about to wrap it up. I will be back tomorrow. The two people that's watching, I got 6 likes. Let's make it up to 7. Like, subscribe. I will be back here again tomorrow once I take care of some business. And if it's nice, I'm going to go shopping tomorrow. I'm going to Sam's. But y'all have a good evening. I know I will. And I will see you guys very soon. All right, yeah, the answer. The question was, he's a former hardcore champ, 2-time, Intercontinental champ, European champ, WCW Tag Champ, and WWF Tag Champion. Who is he? The answer was Test. Uh-oh. Check my weather book. I think the wind about to start picking up out there. And I think it's raining again. They calling for snow. All right, whatever. I'm out, people. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow. This has been a special edition. Y'all be easy.